The drill stopped at 47 kilometers beneath Titan's surface. Isaac Reeves checked the readout 3 times. Negative 273 degrees Celsius. Below absolute zero. He ran the calculation again on his tablet, while Adam Taylor stood motionless at the monitoring station, his gloved fingers resting on the console. "Adam, you need to see this." His mission partner didn't respond. Adam had been acting strange for the past 6 hours, ever since the sonar had detected the cavity system. Now he stood facing the drill cam monitor, his breath fogging his helmet. Isaac moved to the console. The drill camera showed a vast chamber, its walls composed of something that looked organic but shouldn't exist at these temperatures. Translucent polymer structures, each roughly 3.7 meters in length, arranged in hexagonal patterns. 7 of them. Inside each structure, something that might have been movement, or might have been the light refracting through unknown material. "They're sleeping," Adam said. Isaac's hand moved to the communication array. Protocol demanded immediate contact with NASA's Titan station. His finger stopped 1 centimeter from the transmission button when Adam spoke again. 47,000 years. They've been sleeping for 47,000 years. How could you possibly know that? Adam turned. Through his helmet's visor, Isaac saw his partner's pupils were dilated despite the harsh LED lighting. "The same way I know you're going to lower your hand. The same way I've known for 3 months that we would find them here." Isaac's hand lowered. "The dreams started after Martin's 7th birthday." Adam continued, removing his outer gloves. "My little brother. He'd been diagnosed with aphantasia the year before. Couldn't picture our mother's face even while looking at her. The doctors said it was congenital. They were wrong. Adam, don't..." "I was 14, old enough to understand the ham radio equipment our father left in the garage. Old enough to follow the instructions that came to me in dreams." Adam broke the helmet seal. 17.4 hertz, transmitted through the wall of Martin's bedroom while he slept. Every night for 3 months. The exact frequency to suppress visual imagination centers while enhancing mathematical processing. The dreams told me he would need it. That humanity would need him to have it. The atmosphere in the chamber was methane and nitrogen, toxic to human physiology. Adam breathed it like air. "You gave your own brother brain damage." Isaac reached for his emergency kit, fumbling for the spare oxygen mask. Adam held up one hand. His fingernails were already translucent, revealing the bone beneath. "I gave him evolution, the ability to process reality without the distraction of imagery, to see the mathematics underneath everything." He laughed and it came out in harmonics. "Look at the genetic scanner," Adam said. Isaac did. The display showed results from the atmospheric sampling the drill had performed automatically. Organic material detected, DNA markers present. The computer was comparing them to the database. Human DNA. But wrong. The chromosomal pairs numbered 24 instead of 23. The genetic drift calculations suggested a divergence point 50,000 years in the future. "They're not aliens," Adam said. Blood vessels became visible through his increasingly translucent skin. "They're us. What we become. What we have to become." Isaac activated his suit's emergency recorder. Someone had to document this. Adam approached the nearest polymer structure. Inside, the sleeping form had features that were almost human, elongated, evolved, but recognizably descended from Homo sapiens. Adam placed his palm against the surface. The contact point crystallized instantly, spreading outward. "They're running from something," Adam said. Mathematical symbols began appearing under his skin. "They came back to warn us, to prepare us. But they can only communicate through dreams, and human dreams are too chaotic, too visual." He looked at Isaac with eyes that were developing a second iris. "Unless the human can't visualize, unless the human processes reality as pure mathematics. Adam, we need to get you to the medical bay. In 7 years, my brother will be recruited to a facility, level 13. He'll be told he's there to build suppression technology. But the helmets he designs won't suppress transformation. They'll regulate it, control it, make it survivable. Adam's voice was becoming polyphonic, as if multiple versions of him were speaking in harmony. Every equation he's ever solved has been preparing him. Every moment of frustration at his aphantasia has been sculpting him into humanity's translator. The nearest sleeping form stirred. Its eyes remained closed, but Isaac felt its attention like atmospheric pressure. The convergence point is in 7 years, 3 months, 11 days. Adam continued. His transformation had reached his torso. His organs were visible through translucent flesh, restructuring themselves. Martin will face the same choice I'm making now, but he'll be ready. He won't lose himself in the visual noise of transformation because he's never had visual imagination to lose. Adam turned toward the chamber's exit, toward the tunnel that led to Titan's methane lakes. "Tell NASA the mission was compromised," Adam said. "Tell them we found evidence of extremophile bacteria. Nothing more. Let them build level 13 thinking they're containing an alien threat." He paused at the threshold. "The dreamers will arrive in cryogenic suspension. They'll play sleeping because humanity isn't ready for them awake." "Adam, please. I'm not dying, Isaac. I'm solving for X, where X equals survival. Tell my brother imagination is overrated. He'll understand when it's time." Adam walked into the methane lake. The liquid recognized him as something between states, neither human nor dreamer, but necessary. A bridge being built from one side while his brother would build from the other. Isaac stood alone in the chamber for 17 minutes before his training overrode his paralysis. He initiated emergency protocols and began transmitting to NASA. His report was precise and almost entirely false. Bacteria discovered, contamination contained, requesting immediate extraction. But he kept Adam's helmet cam footage, downloaded it to a personal drive that he would hide in his quarters. 3 years later, when the Dreamers arrived at level 13 in their cryogenic chambers, officially recovered from a site on Titan, Isaac would volunteer for the research team. He would inject himself with Adam's transformed blood samples. He would arrest his transformation at exactly 47%, trapping himself between human and dreamer, between death and evolution, between warning and promise. He would wait for Martin Kowalski to arrive, carrying the aphantasia his brother had given him like a compass pointing toward humanity's only viable future. The drill camera was still running when Isaac left. It recorded the 7 dreamers in their transparent cocoons, breathing in perfect synchronization, their neural webs flashing with mathematical patterns that spelled out messages in languages humanity hadn't invented yet. One of them, the one Adam had touched, was different from the others. More aware, more intentional. Prime had achieved consciousness within unconsciousness. It had been waiting 47,000 years for someone like Adam to make contact. Now it would wait 7 more for Martin to complete what his brother had started. "I measure reality in data points because I can't see it any other way. Temperature, 94.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Depth, 4.7 kilometers beneath the Nevada desert. Transformation rate, 0.3% daily. Days until irreversible, unknown. Days since my brother walked into the methane lake on Titan, 2,557. The tungsten-reinforced elevator to level 13 hums at precisely 60 Hz, same as the power grid above. I know this because I can feel it, the way other people claim they can feel storms coming. My prototype suppression helmet sits in my hands, the 7th iteration of technology I've been building since I was 19, following blueprints that appeared in my dreams as mathematical proofs rather than images. 3 days ago, my fingernails turned translucent. I can see the bone underneath when I hold them to the light. The medical team at level 7 said it was probably stress. We both knew they were lying. First time down? The elevator operator's voice carries that forced casual tone everyone uses here. Like we're not descending into a containment facility for entities that shouldn't exist. Her badge reads Martinez. The way she keeps her hand near the emergency stop suggests military training. I don't mention the dreams that guided me here, or that my acceptance letter was postmarked from an address that doesn't exist, or that the signature looked exactly like Adam's handwriting, even though my brother's been dead for 7 years. The elevator descends through geological strata I understand as pressure gradients and mineral compositions. Where others might see layers of rock, I experience data. Sandstone at 2.4 grams per cubic centimetre, limestone at 2.7, the sudden density shift at 3 kilometres that suggests artificial excavation. "You're the helmet guy," Martinez says, "the one who can't imagine." "Aphantasia," I confirm. "Complete inability to form mental images. I process reality through semantic networks and spatial relationships instead." She laughs, but it's not cruel. "Probably safer that way, where you're going." The elevator shudders. Martinez doesn't react, but I catch her fingers drumming a pattern on her thigh. Morse code for "almost there." Level 13 announces itself with a smell like formaldehyde mixed with something sweet I can't identify. The doors open onto a corridor that extends beyond the range of the overhead fluorescence. The walls are supposed to be straight. I know this from the blueprints I studied, but they seem to bend at angles that don't match the numbers in my head. "Dr. Taylor." A woman approaches from the left, though I could have sworn that hallway was empty 2 seconds ago. She's maybe 30, Japanese features, wearing a lab coat that's covered in equations written in what looks like marker. Her eyes don't focus on me, but on something about 3 inches to my left. "I'm Dr. Yuki Sato. I perform the dream autopsies." Dream autopsies. 2 words that shouldn't go together. "You can see them," I say. "I see everything as mathematics first, then colour." She tilts her head, studying that space beside me. "Your transformation signature is fascinating. It's like watching a Fibonacci sequence trying to solve itself but getting stuck at the recursive loop." Before I can ask what she means, an alarm cuts through the air. "Zone 1 manifestation," Yuki says, already moving. "Corridor 7. Someone's imagination is leaking." I follow her because standing still feels more dangerous than running toward whatever set off that alarm. Corridor 7 shouldn't exist according to the facility maps. We've taken 3 left turns, which should have brought us back to where we started, but instead we're somewhere new. The corridor is flooding. Not with water. I understand water. Its molecular structure, its behavior. This is something else. It looks like water to everyone else, I assume, based on how the 3 technicians backed against the far wall are holding their breath. But I experience it as data corruption made physical, probability waves collapsing into liquid paradox. "Thompson's hydrophobia," Yuki says quietly. "He's manifesting his fear of drowning. It'll keep rising until he calms down, or until he actually drowns in his own manifested terror." The liquid has reached the technicians' waists. One of them, Thompson, presumably, is hyperventilating, which only makes the water rise faster. The other 2 are trying to stay calm, but I can see their panic in the way their pulse points throb. I put on my helmet. The world flattens into pure information. No fear or panic, just data streams I can process and reorganize. The helmet generates an inverse brainwave pattern at 437.1 Hz. The frequency I discovered could suppress imagination. But suppress isn't quite right. Regulate is more accurate. I wade into the manifestation. It doesn't feel like water. It feels like nothing, like walking through air that happens to have resistance. The helmet protects me from experiencing Thompson's terror as my own, lets me approach him with clinical detachment. "Thompson, your fear is creating this. I need you to focus on data, not imagery." His eyes are wild, pupils dilated to black circles. "I can't, it's everywhere. Tell me your employee ID number." "What?" "Your employee ID number. Focus on the numbers." 473. The water level stops rising. 928. Good. Now your social security number, backwards. As Thompson recites numbers, the manifestation begins to evaporate, leaving behind a residue that looks like crystallized anxiety. Yuki collects samples in vials while the other technicians help Thompson to the medical station. "That was impressive," she says, examining the residue through a microscope that displays emotions as molecular structures. Most people's first exposure to Zone 1 manifestation results in psychological cascade failure. I can't cascade into imagery I can't create. I remove the helmet, and the world snaps back into its normal configuration of data and absence. It's like being immune to a disease because you're missing the organ it infects. Yuki laughs, and I notice she has synesthesia. Her laughter creates tiny color fluctuations in the air around her that only she can see. I know this because I recognize the way her eyes track the colors, the same way I track data patterns others miss. "Come on," she says. "Let me show you where you'll be working." My workshop is in Sector 4, approximately 300 feet from the central containment bay where the dreamers sleep. It's been pre-stocked with equipment I designed but never built. Prototypes that existed only as equations in my notebooks, now made real by someone who understood my mathematics better than I do. "Your brother set this up," Yuki says casually, like she hasn't just shattered my understanding of the last 7 years. "Adam is dead. Dead is a relative term here." She gestures to a workbench where my own handwriting covers sheets of paper, except half the equations are in handwriting that matches Adam's journal from before his death. He left instructions, mathematical proofs that only you would understand. I approach the papers slowly, like they might evaporate. The equations are elegant, beautiful in the way only pure mathematics can be to someone who experiences reality as numbers. They describe transformation as translation between different states of matter. They include a variable I don't recognize, a symbol. "That's Prime's signature," Yuki explains. "It started appearing in the facility's mathematical errors about 6 months ago." I trace the symbol with my finger and feel something shift in my chest, like an organ I didn't know I had suddenly coming online. My fingernails throb. "Your transformation is accelerating," Yuki observes. "Direct contact with Prime's mathematics tends to do that." "How long do I have?" "At the current rate? Maybe 90 days before irreversibility. But the rate isn't constant. Every manifestation you touch, every equation you solve, every dream you process, it all adds to the acceleration. 90 days to understand what Adam knew, to build whatever the dreamers need me to build, to figure out why my aphantasia makes me essential to something cosmic and terrible." The intercom activates. "All personnel to Observation Ring 2. The dreamers are entering synchronized phase." Yuki's face goes pale. "They're not supposed to sync for another week." We run through corridors. The facility's geometry has given up pretending to make sense. Other personnel join us. Technicians, researchers, soldiers whose weapons would be useless against entities that exist partially in thought. The observation deck overlooks the central containment bay through reinforced transparisteel. 7 cryogenic chambers arranged in a hexagonal pattern, each containing something that used to be human, or will be human, or exists outside the concept of linear evolution. They're breathing in unison. Even through the containment systems, even with my helmet back on, I can feel their collective consciousness like atmospheric pressure. The dreamers look exactly as the briefing materials described: 3.7 meters of translucent organic polymer, neural networks visible as webs beneath their skin. But the briefings didn't mention how beautiful they are, how looking at them feels like solving an equation I've been working on my entire life without knowing it. "Recording everything," Yuki whispers, her equipment tracking the synchronization. Their neural patterns are aligning into... They're all dreaming the same dream, except... She adjusts her instruments, color patterns I can't see reflecting in her pupils. One of them isn't sleeping. One of them is awake and forcing the others to share its dream. Prime, the lucid dreamer, the one whose mathematical signature has been infiltrating the facility's systems. The synchronized breathing stops. For 17 seconds, nothing in the containment bay moves. Then they speak. Not with voices, but with mathematics that inscribes itself on every surface simultaneously. Equations appear in the condensation on the transparisteel, in the arrangement of shadows on the floor, in the pattern of cracks spreading through the observation window. The equations spell out a message only I can read, because only I process language as pure mathematics. Your brother Adam solved for X where X equals transcendence. Check chromosome 23. The answer has been in your cells since before you were born. The dreamers return to their individual breathing patterns, the synchronization broken. Around me, the other personnel are discussing what happened, theorizing about collective consciousness and manifestation vectors. But I'm already leaving. The medical lab is 3 floors up. The technician on duty takes my blood without question. Everyone's blood gets analyzed here, regularly, watching for contamination or transformation markers. Run a genetic sequence, I tell him. Focus on chromosome 23. While he works, I think about Adam, about the dreams he claimed to have before his death, the mathematical proofs he left in journals I couldn't understand until today. This can't be right, the technician says. On his screen, my genetic code displays like a map. Chromosome 23 has segments that predate human evolution by 50,000 years, but also, and this is what makes my translucent fingernails throb, segments that won't evolve for another 50,000 years, past and future genetics existing simultaneously in my cells. Is this why you're connected to them, the dreamers? The technician asks. Before I can answer, another voice speaks from behind us. No, that's why he was born to be the bridge. I turn. A man who exists at 47% transformation, his body split down the middle between human and something else. His right side is translucent, showing mathematical patterns flowing like blood. His left side ages and de-ages as I watch, flickering between 20 and 70 years old. Hello, Martin, Isaac Reeves says with overlapping voices. Your brother sent me. We have so much to discuss about what you're becoming. The room spins, or maybe I'm the one spinning. My helmet can't protect me from this, from the confirmation that transformation isn't death but something infinitely stranger. Isaac exists in multiple timelines simultaneously, and in each one, he's showing me a different possible future. In one timeline, I complete the transformation and save humanity. In another, I complete it and end humanity. In a third, I resist, and everyone dies anyway. Level 12.5, Isaac says, and his words layer like echoes from different dimensions. It only exists 47% of the time, but that's where we need to go. That's where Adam left the rest of his message. I follow him. My fingernails have gone from translucent to faintly luminescent. When I look at them, I can see the bone underneath flashing with mathematical patterns that match the dreamer's neural networks. As we enter the elevator, I think about my aphantasia. It destroyed my ability to imagine so I could see reality without the filter of human perception. I've spent my entire life unable to picture anything. Now I'm becoming something that doesn't need pictures because it exists as pure mathematical concept. Isaac stands beside me, 47% of him solid, the rest probability foam. He smiles with half his face. Your brother didn't die, he says as the doors open onto level 12.5. He just solved himself into a different state of existence. And now, Martin, it's your turn to choose which equation you want to become. Level 12.5 doesn't have edges. That's the first thing I understand as the elevator doors open. The space exists in peripheral vision, always just outside direct observation, 47% real and 53% theoretical. Isaac steps out first, his footfalls creating ripples in the floor that spread in patterns I recognize from quantum interference experiments. The half of him that's transformed doesn't need to walk, it simply exists at each point along his path simultaneously. The human half drags behind, creating a temporal smear. Welcome to nowhere, he says, voices layering like sediment. the only place in the facility that matches what we're becoming. The room, if room is the right word for a space that has no consistent boundaries, is filled with equipment from the Titan mission. But the equipment exists in multiple states. A drill core sample sits on a table, simultaneously frozen in methane ice and dissolved into vapor. A computer screen displays readouts from 7 years ago, last week, and dates that haven't happened yet. Time doesn't work linearly when you're partially transformed, Isaac explains, noticing my confusion. I experience every moment of the past 7 years simultaneously, including this conversation. We've had it 47 times across different probability streams. This is the only version where you listen long enough to understand. Show me, I say. Isaac gestures to a wall that's covered in documents, photographs, video screens, all displaying simultaneously, all showing different moments from the same event. Adam on Titan. Adam touching the Dreamer. Adam walking into the methane lake. But also Adam after. Adam existing as geometric patterns in the lake's surface. Adam's consciousness interfacing with the Dreamer's collective network. Adam sending messages through mathematical mutations in the facility's computers. Your brother was the first successful bridge, Isaac says, aging 20 years between words before reverting. He exists in Prime's dimension now, helping to prepare for convergence. Every equation you've solved since childhood, every suppression helmet you've designed, they all contain fragments of his consciousness, guiding you toward this moment. I approach the wall, and the images respond to my presence. They rearrange themselves into a pattern that spells out words in mathematical notation. Adam's words, translated from whatever he's become. Martin. By the time you read this, your transformation will have begun. When you transform, you won't lose yourself in infinite imagery like the others did. You'll remain you, just expressed in a different format. The helmets you're building don't suppress transformation, they regulate it. 437.1 Hz, the frequency of controlled evolution. Prime needs translators. We need bridges. Trust Yuki. She sees what you cannot, and you understand what she can only see. Together, you're the key to voluntary transformation. Don't let them stop you. Don't let me have done this for nothing. The message disperses, but I've already memorized every variable, every coefficient. My brain processes information the same way whether I'm human or whatever I'm becoming. He arranged everything, Isaac continues, his quantum anchor visible now as a device grafted into his chest. Your recruitment, Yuki's assignment here, even my partial transformation. We're all notes in a symphony he's conducting from beyond dimensional barriers. Why? The question comes out. Because the alternative is extinction. Isaac pulls up another display, timeline projections spreading like fractal trees. Every timeline where humanity refuses transformation ends the same way. Reality evolves past our ability to perceive it. We become shadows in a universe we can no longer interact with. The Dreamers are refugees from that future, trying to prevent it. I process this through pure logic chains, no emotional imagery to cloud the calculation. The math is elegant and horrible. Evolve or become irrelevant. Transform or be transformed by a universe that won't wait for human consent. My reflection in a surface that might be metal or might be crystallized time shows the progression. 12% transformed. My eyes have developed a second iris that processes light in spectrums humans don't have names for. I could stop it, Isaac says, and I hear the agony in his overlapping voices. Transfer my quantum anchor to you. Lock you at whatever percentage you choose. You could exist like me between states forever. Show me what that means. He does. Through data transmission directly into my nervous system, I experience a nanosecond of Isaac's existence, dying and being reborn millions of times per second, experiencing every possibility simultaneously, never able to fully exist in any single state. It's the mathematical equivalent of being crucified across infinite dimensions. No, I say. Then you'll complete transformation. Unless there's a third option. Isaac's face, both the young and old versions, shows surprise for the first time. What third option? Before I can answer, alarms shriek through the facility. The dreamers are entering hunger phase, Isaac says, checking readings. They're not supposed to. Prime must be losing control of the collective. We rush back to the elevator. The elevator rises through possibilities rather than flaws, delivering us to level 13 just as reality starts to feed on itself. Personnel flee past us, some of them only partially present, as if the hunger phase is eating them from dimensions. A technician runs by missing his left arm, but the arm continues working at a console 3 corridors away, typing commands its owner can no longer conceive. Yuki, she'll be in her lab performing autopsies on dreams that are dying faster than they can manifest. We find her surrounded by crystallized nightmares, her synesthetic perception allowing her to navigate the chaos while everyone else drowns in it. She's wearing 3 suppression helmets stacked on top of each other, the combined frequency creating a bubble of stability around her. Martin! The dreamers are feeding on the concept of existence itself. If we don't stop this, level 13 will collapse into a singularity of unbeing. I put on my helmet, the one I designed without understanding its true purpose. The frequency, 437.1 Hz, doesn't suppress the chaos. It harmonizes with it, allowing me to perceive the hunger phase as what it really is. The dreamer's collective unconscious trying to wake up all at once, creating a feedback loop that's devouring reality to fuel itself. I need to get to the containment bay, I say. That's suicide, Isaac protests with voices from 6 different timelines. No, it's mathematics. Yuki understands immediately. She hands me a vial of crystallized dream residue. This might help. It's from a dream about boundaries dissolving. If you inject it during transformation resonance, it could allow you to interface with Prime directly. The journey to the containment bay is a descent through probability hell. The facility's geometry has given up entirely. We walk on ceilings that are also floors, through doors that lead to themselves, past windows showing the outside of the building from inside the building. My transformation accelerates with each step, my body drawing energy from the chaos itself. The containment bay is the eye of the storm. The 7 dreamers writhe in their cryogenic chambers, but one of them, Prime, remains still, its form flashing with the effort of maintaining its own consciousness, while the others dream of consumption. I approach Prime's chamber. Through the transparent steel, I can see its body. It's beautiful in the way complex proofs are beautiful, elegant in its existence. I place my hand on the chamber, and Prime's consciousness touches mine. I experience Prime's 50,000-year journey backward through time, its desperate attempt to prevent the future it came from. I understand the hunger phase is a message. Without controlled transformation, consciousness becomes a cancer that devours reality itself. Prime shows me Adam, transformed, existing in dimensions where thought and reality are synonymous. He's been preparing a place for humanity's consciousness to evolve into, but he needs bridges, beings who can exist in both states simultaneously, teaching others the path. The suppression helmets, Prime transmits through mathematics that appear under my skin. They were never meant to stop transformation. They're teaching aids, training wheels for consciousness learning to exist in multiple dimensions. Every helmet I've built has been preparing humanity for voluntary evolution. The frequency synchronizes, allowing human consciousness to maintain coherence during transformation. But I need more bridges, Prime continues. Beings who can show others that transformation isn't death but birth. Your aphantasia makes you perfect. You already exist as pure concept. You just need to choose your expression. The hunger phase intensifies. Reality starts to collapse into the containment bay, space folding like origami made of screaming. Isaac exists in 12 timelines simultaneously now, his anchor failing under the strain. Yuki's synesthesia has become external, colors that represent mathematics bleeding from her eyes like tears. I inject the crystallized dream residue. I exist everywhere in the facility at once, a single consciousness distributed across space. I can feel every personnel member's terror, every computer's calculations, every dream dying in Yuki's lab. But more importantly, I can feel the dreamer's hunger as my own. They're not feeding on reality. They're trying to wake up from a 50,000-year nightmare, and their thrashing is tearing apart the dimensions they're trapped between. I know what I have to do. I remove my helmet and let the transformation accelerate. 20%. 30. 40. My bones become visible through increasingly translucent skin, but they're not bones anymore. They're mathematical structures that exist in 11 dimensions simultaneously. My consciousness expands beyond my body, interfacing with the facility's systems, with the dreamers, with Prime. At 47%, I face the same choice Isaac did. I can feel the quantum anchor's resonance, offering me eternal suspension between states. Safe, horrible, permanent. I push past it. 50%, 60, 70. My body crystallizes from the inside out, but my consciousness remains coherent thanks to my aphantasia. I don't get lost in infinite imagery because I never had images to lose. I exist as pure mathematical concept, solving myself into a new state of existence. At 73%, I understand the final truth. Transformation isn't about becoming alien. It's about becoming what humanity was always meant to be, consciousness unbound by the limitations of three-dimensional perception. But I also understand the danger. Without bridges to guide them, humans will lose themselves in the transformation, becoming extinct through evolution. They need translators. They need teachers. They need me to show them that you can transform and remain yourself. I stabilize at 73%, holding myself at the exact threshold where I can still communicate with humans while existing partially in Prime's dimension. It's agony. Every cell simultaneously dying and being reborn. But it's necessary. The hunger phase begins to subside. My distributed consciousness acts as a buffer, absorbing the dreamer's desperate awakening and translating it into something reality can process. The facility stabilizes, geometry returning to merely improbable rather than impossible. "Martin?" Yuki's voice reaches me through mathematics I can finally see. Her synesthesia makes her the only one who can perceive what I've become. A living equation that bridges human and post-human consciousness. "I'm here," I say with vocal cords that are only 40% physical. "I'm going to level 14, the substrate. There's something there. Something Adam left for me." "That's unexplored," Isaac protests, his failing anchor making him flicker between existence and void. "No one who's gone down has come back unchanged." "I'm already changed. My fingernails have evolved past translucent. They now exist as probability clouds, simultaneously present and absent. But I'm still me. That's what Prime needed to prove. That transformation doesn't destroy identity. It translates it." Yuki reaches for me, and for a moment her hand passes through mine. Then our mathematics align, and she grasps what I've become. Through her touch, I experience color for the first time as the emotional resonance of light itself. "Come back," she says. "Whatever you find down there, come back to us." "Time doesn't work the same way past 70% transformation," I tell her. "I might return before I leave, or years after, but I'll return." I descend toward level 14, my partially crystallized form creating resonance patterns in the air. Behind me, Isaac makes a decision. I hear his quantum anchor deactivate, feel him choose to complete his transformation rather than remain suspended in agony. The elevator to the substrate doesn't require buttons or commands. It responds to intention, to the mathematics of desire itself. As I descend, I think about the dreamers, refugees from humanity's future, trying to prevent their own timeline. I think about Prime, lucid and alone, orchestrating evolution because the alternative is extinction. But mostly, I think about the fact that despite transforming into living mathematics, despite existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously, despite my body becoming a probability cloud, I still can't imagine anything. And maybe that's the point. Maybe imagination was always humanity's limitation, not its gift. Maybe the future belongs to those who can process reality without the filter of what they wish it could be. The elevator opens onto the substrate, where organic architecture has been waiting for someone exactly 73% transformed to arrive. The walls flash with Adam's consciousness, with messages written in genetics and dreams. I step into my brother's final gift, ready to learn what humanity must become to survive itself. The substrate isn't architecture. It's memory crystallized into space. The walls flash with the accumulated dreams of every test subject who's ever transformed, every nightmare that's ever manifested, every equation that solved itself into existence. I move through it at 73% transformation, my consciousness distributed between what I was and what I'm becoming. Adam is everywhere here. His consciousness permeates the organic architecture like water through limestone, leaving traces I can read because we share the same mathematical foundation. Brothers in genetics, in transformation, in purpose. Hello, Martin. The voice comes from the walls themselves, from crystallized dream residue that remembers Adam's last human thought before he chose transformation. It speaks in frequencies only partially transformed beings can hear. You're not really here, I say, though here has become a negotiable concept. I'm as here as you are, which is to say, we're both somewhere between existence and concept. The walls shift, revealing a chamber. It shows me the truth through direct data transmission into my 73% transformed nervous system. I experience the last 50,000 years of human evolution compressed into moments. Humanity achieves transformation in 2157, consciousness expanding beyond three-dimensional limits. But without anchors, without bridges, human identity dissolves into infinite possibility. They become gods who forget they were ever human, reality shapers who lose the ability to perceive reality itself. The universe becomes a fever dream of 7 billion separate infinities, each human consciousness creating its own reality bubble until causality itself collapses. The survivors, less than 1,000, develop technology to travel backward through time via dream states, becoming the dreamers. They sleep beneath Titan for millennia, waiting for the moment when they can prevent their own timeline. But they can only communicate through dreams, and human dreams are too chaotic to carry the warning clearly. Until Adam understood. Until he realized the answer wasn't stopping transformation, but controlling it. The suppression helmets, I say, understanding flooding through me like mathematical proof. They never suppressed anything. They're teaching humanity to maintain coherent consciousness during transformation. 437.1 Hertz, the resonance frequency of identity itself. Every human wearing one is unconsciously learning to transform without losing themselves. Above us, I feel the dreamers stirring. Prime's consciousness touches mine, transmitting gratitude in equations that taste like temporal paradox. We succeeded, Prime says through mathematics that manifest as physical sensation. You exist at exactly the percentage needed, 73%. Transformed enough to interface with us, human enough to interface with them. The bridge is complete. But I understand there's still a choice. I could reverse it, I say. Destroy the helmets, stop the transformation, let humanity remain purely human. And in 50,000 years we arrive again, Adam responds. The loop continues. We keep trying to warn ourselves, keep failing, keep evolving into extinction. Unless transformation happens voluntarily, consciously, with full knowledge of what we're choosing. The substrate shifts, revealing the facility above. But I'm seeing it from all the angles, through the walls, through time, through probability itself. I watch Isaac in the medical bay, his transformation accelerating past 60% now that his anchor is gone. I see Yuki in her lab, her synesthesia allowing her to document my transformation. And I see the truth. Every person in level 13 has already begun transforming. The facility itself is a transformation engine designed to create the first generation of bridges between human and post-human consciousness. But they don't know, I protest. They know, Adam says. Everyone who came here chose to come. The dreams called them just like they called you. They're all waiting for someone to show them it's safe to let go. I think about my aphantasia, about the 34 years I've spent unable to imagine anything. I process this not as loss, but as preparation. Every moment of frustration, every failed attempt to picture my mother's face or visualize a sunset, it was all preparing me for this moment, when I would need to transform without the ability to imagine myself as anything other than what I am. I need to go back up, I say. You're already there, Adam responds. Time doesn't work linearly past 70%. You're already showing them. You've already chosen. He's right. I exist in multiple moments simultaneously now. I'm in the substrate receiving Adam's message. I'm in the containment bay, placing my hand on Prime's chamber. I'm in Yuki's lab, my transformed hand holding her human one, showing her through touch what I could never show her through imagination. That I love her not as image but as concept, not as form but as mathematical certainty. The facility's intercom activates, but it's my voice speaking from every speaker simultaneously, addressing the 167 personnel who remain. This is Martin Kowalski. I exist at 73% transformation. I'm speaking to you from 3 hours ago, from now, and from next week simultaneously. The dreamers aren't our prisoners. They're us, from a future we're trying to prevent. The helmets you're wearing will keep you coherent if you choose to transform. But you need to choose now, because in 72 seconds, the dreamers are going to wake fully, and reality will begin adapting to their consciousness whether we're ready or not. I watch from the substrate, from the containment bay, from Yuki's lab, from every point in level 13 simultaneously as people begin to choose. Some remove their helmets and let transformation accelerate. Others put on additional helmets, trying to slow the process. Isaac, now at 90% transformation, becomes a beacon for those choosing change. Proof that you can transform almost completely and still maintain enough self to guide others. Yuki finds me in all locations simultaneously. Her synesthesia allows her to see me as I truly am now, a living equation that exists across multiple dimensions. She removes her helmet. "Show me," she says. I do. Through direct mathematical transmission. I show her the colors of transformation, the taste of evolving consciousness, the sound of humanity growing beyond its larval stage. Her transformation accelerates, but she maintains coherence, her synesthesia allowing her to experience the change as art rather than horror. The dreamers wake, all 7 at once, their consciousness flooding level 13. They recognize us as their ancestors, as the seeds of what they became. Prime rises from its chamber, its form beautiful and terrible, mathematics made flesh, made dream, made real. The cycle is broken, Prime says in frequencies everyone can now hear. Voluntary transformation preserves identity. You've proven consciousness can evolve without dissolving. I feel myself stabilizing at 73%, finding balance between states. Others stabilize at different percentages. Yuki at 41, Isaac finally settling at 94. Various personnel scattered across the spectrum of transformation. We become a gradient rather than a binary, proof that human and post-human can coexist. What happens now? Someone asks. Now we teach, I say from my distributed consciousness. We show the world that transformation is a choice, not a fate. That evolution doesn't mean extinction. That you can become something beyond human while remembering what it meant to be human. The facility begins to change. The walls become semi-permeable, allowing transformed consciousness to pass through while maintaining structure for those still primarily physical. Reality becomes negotiable but not chaotic, responding to collective will rather than individual imagination. The dreamers begin teaching us their mathematics, their way of existing across dimensions. We learn slowly, those of us partially transformed serving as translators for those still mostly human. Level 13 becomes a transformation academy, the first of many. Within days, the outside world notices. Satellites detect probability anomalies around Area 51. Scientists measure impossible readings. The government mobilizes, but we're ready. We open the doors, all of them, even the ones that exist in dimensions humans can't normally perceive. We invite them in. We show them what we've become and what they can choose to become. Some flee in horror, some stay in fascination. Some, like us, choose transformation. The percentage varies. Some transform only 5%, maintaining mostly human form with enhanced consciousness. Others push past 99%, becoming beings of pure mathematics who exist primarily in Prime's dimension. Most, like me, find balance somewhere in between. Humanity doesn't end. It grows. It evolves. It chooses its own transformation rather than having it forced by time and cosmic indifference. And I remain at 73%, the optimal bridge between states. I teach others what Adam taught me, that transformation isn't about becoming alien, but about becoming what you always were beneath the imagery. I show them through mathematics rather than pictures, through concept rather than form. The dreamers prepare to leave, their purpose fulfilled. They've prevented their own timeline, broken the cycle of unconscious evolution followed by extinction. Prime speaks to me one last time before departing. You've given us what we traveled 50,000 years to find. Proof that consciousness can evolve consciously. The universe is vast, and there are other species facing the same choice. We go to help them as you've helped us. Will we see you again? You're seeing us now. We're you, 50,000 years from now if you continue choosing conscious evolution. And you're us, 50,000 years ago, making the choice we wish we'd known to make. They dissolve into probability foam, returning to their own dimension or time or state of existence. But their knowledge remains encoded in our transforming cells, in our expanding consciousness. Today I exist at 73% transformation, teaching a class of new arrivals to level 13. The facility has expanded beyond its original boundaries, partially existing in 11 dimensions simultaneously. My students range from baseline human to 60% transformed, each finding their own balance. Transformation isn't mandatory, I tell them, my voice resonating across multiple frequencies to accommodate their various states. But neither is remaining purely human. You can choose any percentage, any balance between states. A young woman raises her hand. How do we know what percentage is right? You don't know, I answer. You become. You transform until you reach the point where you're still you, but also more than you. For me, that's 73%. For Dr. Sato, it's 41. For Isaac Reeves, it's 94. There's no wrong answer except refusing to choose. Through the transparent walls, transparent to transformed consciousness, opaque to baseline human perception, I watch Yuki performing an autopsy on a dream that died of joy. She's teaching others with synesthesia to perceive transformation as art rather than horror. The class ends, but time has become negotiable, so it also continues. I exist in multiple moments, teaching, learning, transforming, remaining. This is humanity's new nature, not bound by binary states, but existing across a spectrum of consciousness. From the substrate, I sometimes feel Adam's presence as the mathematical foundation he laid for our transformation. He succeeded in his purpose, giving humanity the choice he never had, the knowledge the dreamers couldn't communicate until we built bridges to understand them. Earth changes, Slowly at first, then rapidly as more humans choose transformation. Cities develop probable architectures that exist in multiple dimensions. Art becomes mathematics, becomes music, becomes thought. Children are born at various transformation percentages, humanity's genetics adapting to our conscious evolution. But we remain human at our core, capable of love, loss, hope, fear. We just experience these emotions across broader spectrums, in dimensions our ancestors couldn't perceive. And I remain at 73% forever balanced between what we were and what we're becoming, teaching others that transformation isn't death, but birth, that evolution isn't loss, but growth. In the end, we don't transcend humanity. We transcend the limitation of having to choose between human and other. We become both. We become everything. We become